We got stressed cause we're striving, surviving, keep on moving to improving, rearranging. The whole world's changing, pandemic, systemic, rule making, rule breaking, disagreeing, no, we're fighting or fleeing. Got a mind.
Hey, the stress divides me.
The stress divides me.
Wanna mind the gap, hey.
Wanna mind the gap, hey. Welcome to Minding the Gap podcast with Behavioral Sciences of Alabama. I'm Paul Bakke, licensed counselor with Dr. David Barnhart. And we're going to talk today about procrastination. And we're going to encourage everyone to just put that off. Just put off your procrastination and do whatever it is you need to do. It's just that simple. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you have a good day.
It's so straightforward.
Yeah, it really is. But the complication comes in when we talk about what's blocking us from doing things that, that we need to do, some task or something that we've been putting off. So the first part of that process is that, and we talk a lot about, we get feelings first, and those feelings typically will drive our thoughts and our behaviors based on survival. So if any uncomfortable feeling happens, the tendency is to avoid whatever makes us feel that way. So an activity that feels like it's going to take a long time, that's not fun to do, or that it's tedious to do, or that takes us away from something that we want to do.
Yes.
Will lead to procrastination, because we typically respond quickly to this uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
It may be a thought where I'm not very good at this.
Hang on 1 second.
Exactly. It's a lot more interesting to have the world at our fingertips, to be able to entertain ourselves and feel that feeling.
Let me see where that phrase comes from. World at our fingertips. Let's see where that comes from.
Okay. Yeah. So that's an issue now too, is that we have so many things to instantly satisfy and make us feel good in the moment. That's a reinforcing feeling, which is searching something on the internet, on your phone, YouTube videos, video games for kids and for adults too. I mean, it's becoming a big distraction in marriages, video game kind of things that's happening for young people too. It's just not just kids. So let's talk a little bit about that. Just the advent of or not the advent, but the increased technology, the more advanced technology just makes it to where we have things faster.
Yes.
So that leads to not practicing waiting, not practicing tolerating the feeling of this task or this thing that's not instantly gratifying.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a lot of reinforcement.
We got email at some point, and then you could get email on your phone. I mean, I think the iPhone came out in like 2006 or 7, somewhere in that range. Of course, there was a lot of stuff going on with the phones already, the cell phone. But we were excited to have email. And what I liked about it was asynchronous. You didn't have to respond in real time.
Put it out there and wait until the person reads it and is ready to respond. And
yeah, it's kind of relaxed.
Wasn't an emergency.
Put it out, yes. But then
text messaging.
Yeah. And that's asynchronous too, except that now.
When are they going to respond?
When are they going to respond? What took you so long?
When are they going to respond? They hadn't responded yet.
And then people get upset and they say things like, "You were blowing up my phone." Now, I've never actually seen a phone blow up. But I guess the concept is you keep contacting me over and over again. Yeah. So anyway, we begin to expect somebody to respond quickly. You go into work in the morning, and one of the first tasks that people tend to do is to look at all their email so they can respond to the email right then. Get that off the plate. And within an intranet within an organization, when people are responding to each other, they kind of get that expectation, particularly, if the boss sends an email, you see that come up because you see it. See a notification, then you go look at it. So now we've taken this thing that was so handy, so useful, and we've made it part of the demand mentality. We need to have an immediate response
Right now.
Yeah.
And the other, think about the dopamine shot we get from some kind of activity on your phone where oh, this is a new article, this is a new thing, oh, this is a new notification, gives you, it's exciting,
right?
It's something new, and so that's reinforcing just by itself. And when we're talking about doing what we're procrastinating, it's associated with tedious, I don't really want to do it, it's not fun, it's homework, it's math that I don't really care about, I can put that off because because I can be reinforced and feel good in this moment.
Right.
And I've been taught, but through just practice of using technology, making a playlist of songs that I like, and I'm not listening to anything I don't like, and I can get it immediately. And I'm even on my playlist that I've made of all the songs I like, I don't want to fast forward that one. I'm not in the mood for that right now.
Yeah.
We just learn, we forget, we get out of practice, maybe not forget, we get out of practice of going, I'm just going to enjoy this thing that's happening now, and I'm going to be present in whatever it is that I'm doing. Commercials, we can fast forward through commercials. So there's a lot of reinforcement that reinforces procrastination.
Right.
And so being aware of that is important so that we can understand that we're not defective, that we don't have character flaws, that we're not lazy, that we're just out of practice of tolerating, waiting, tedious things, and that maybe we just need to practice that and break those down.
And and of course, part of what you're saying is what we think about these tasks is part of what makes them uncomfortable. So it's specifically what we think. Oh, this is going to be tedious. It's going to take a long time. Or I can do it later. And
a video game sounds a lot of fun right now.
So part of
I wonder who's texted me. Let me check my messages.
Yeah, why don't you disrupt this conversation? Yeah, so and it happens. People get irritated with each other trying to have dinner together, and somebody's phone they keep doing this, going to their phone. You're going, makes it a little distracting when you're trying to carry on a conversation.
Right. It's hard to stay in the flow.
Yeah.
But it feels like I've got to know right now. I've got to check.
So
I was fantasy football score. What's the score? Has it changed in the last 2 seconds?
Yes. Listen,
not that I've ever done that.
Hey Siri,
not that I've ever checked my fantasy score or checked a football or basketball or baseball score while I'm supposed to be engaged in with the person that I'm. No, I would never do that.
No, absolutely. Right. So the way we think, recognizing that part of the issue emotionally is the thoughts that we're having about the item. So when we're uncomfortable with the fact that, okay, now I've waited to the last minute. I hear this a lot from almost everybody I see, students certainly say, well, if I can just get it done, get it out of the
Mhm.
way. And I've done that, I remember being a young person and thinking, oh, well, I could go to the student union and we could play some music and hang out with some girls, it'd be fun, have a good time. And I got this paper to write. And then so I go and I put off writing the paper, and I'm trying to enjoy this time at the student union with the music and the
And it's
girls.
there in the back of your mind. You're
Is
not
that
really able to
paper
enjoy it.
just interferes with it? But the immediately reinforcing thing is the activity.
Right.
And whatever occurs immediately after a behavior tends to predict whether that behavior is going to occur again in the future. So gets reinforced, little dopamine shot in the brain, strengthens that tendency. So it becomes more automated, which makes it harder to recognize what the interference is.
Right.
And we think of it as a character flaw. I'm a procrastinator.
Yeah. It's conditioning. So then it becomes about being awareness. It's about the triggers, the feeling, the thoughts that are connected to the feeling. And so let's talk a little bit about what people can do to overcome some of those blocks of feelings and thoughts and just habits.
That's good. One of the, excuse me, one of the thoughts has to do with time. Pardon me.
Right. It's going to take a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'll give you an example of what I did one time. Okay. So, and I've used this example before in some of my sessions when people are putting things off. It's like washing clothes. That's no problem. I throw them in there, wash everything in cold so it doesn't bleed on each other. Put the soap in there, start it up. Here we go. Leave, come back. Oh, it's done. Put them in the dryer. That's no problem. Folding the clothes and putting them away. Why do I keep putting that off? Because it takes longer. And it feels like it's going to take forever to do that. Decide where this goes and let's hang this up and all this stuff. So what I did one time was I timed myself undoing, taking the clothes out and putting them where they needed to go. And it took me 10 minutes. It was not really a long time.
Right.
So I tried to remember that the next time I was like, oh, it's only going to take me 10 minutes. It feels like a lot longer, but it's only going to take, so I can handle 10 minutes. So it's these thoughts to overcome the feeling of dread and the thought of it's going to take me a long time is, wait a minute, this is not only 10 minutes. And if I do this, it'll be done and I won't have to worry about it. So being able to overcome the time and be realistic about the time too. Sometimes the time is shorter than you think. Sometimes it's doable with homework, whatever. And it's going to take me 30 minutes. It's going to take me an hour even. I could do an hour. It's being able to overcome those thoughts related to time or whatever the distraction is with thoughts that are rational and that help you feel better about doing the activity and feel maybe feel uncomfortable about not doing it.
So being able to bring the effects that you put off more into the present seems to be one of the tools that helps people to overcome that thing that we call procrastination. So when you're thinking, well, that only took 10 minutes, and now in real time, you're thinking, well, then I'll be finished with this thing in 10 minutes. So it brings it more into the present rather than putting it off to the past, till into the future. Mm-hmm. Or you can bring the effects into the present. So if I put it off, then I'll be too tired. I'll want to go to sleep. I won't want to get around to it. I wish that I had done more. So you can bring the effects into the present, and then it's more motivating. So it's aversive to put it off.
Right.
So sometimes that strategy works.
Yeah. So yeah, so and it takes stepping back and thinking about it and strategizing, knowing that the initial feeling is going to be wait till later. And if you think about like a homework assignment or something like that, often with procrastination, the person waits until the aversive feeling is, oh crap, I got to get this done. I don't have any much time left.
Yeah.
So they're responding to that, to the fear of not getting it turned in or finished.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of stress that can be avoided by stopping and making a plan and making it bite-sized too. And sometimes, like you were saying, with an assignment or a paper that you have to write, let's say it's due in a week, you break that down into small steps. I can work on it for an hour and then do what I want to do because I've got a week, instead of going, oh, I got a week, I'll wait. And then at the last minute, you're freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
You turn in a paper that's full of mistakes because you didn't have time to look at it and review it. So it's making the goals bite-sized, the tasks bite-sized so they're doable.
Mm-hmm.
Helps take away that aversive feeling of doing it,
right,
and makes it easier to do it.
Reduces the size. It feels better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the question is, how do I need to think about it, and what is it that I need to do to set myself up so that I'm more likely to pull it off?
Yeah. So we kind of talked about blocks of feelings and thoughts and how to overcome those with thinking and bringing it into the moment and getting to the point where, okay, it makes sense to do this, feels better to do this. And what about external blocks? Things like the phone, things like, when I use this example for my exercise plan, and when I go home, one of my external blocks is the recliner. If I sit in the recliner after work, it's over with. I'm not exercising, and I have to walk by it. I have to distance myself from my recliner because if I get comfortable, that's gonna be reinforcing, and I'm probably not gonna do it. So how can we distance ourselves from phone, computer, things like that, TV that distract us from, that just feed into putting something off because this activity feels better in the moment?
So I call that ecological intervention. So we make an intervention in our ecology. We change the circumstances. College students are very accustomed to eating in their room, reading in bed, hanging out with friends. There are all kinds of things that are distracting in an apartment or a dorm. And so we look at, well, how do we break that pattern? And one thing is, there are other places to study. If you stay where you are, where you've been procrastinating, if you sit in that recliner.
That's right. It reinforces not doing your work.
Right.
In bed, you're supposed to sleep in bed.
Exactly. That's what your brain says. Or snack.
When you're in bed and you're trying to study, your brain is saying, go to sleep. Don't study.
Or pull out your phone and entertain yourself until you fall asleep.
Right.
All of that stuff.
Watch TV, those kinds of things, right?
So
if you go to the library and all you do there is study, and the environmental conditions say, go ahead and study.
You're supposed to study. And
supposed to study here.
The model is other people are studying.
Right. Other people are studying, right?
Research.
This is okay. I see 5 people doing what I need to do. So that makes it okay, for me to do it too. Join in.
You know,
They're doing it, I can do it. And this is, mostly unconscious, but it's a feeling of that. It's a feeling. This feels like study time.
mhm. Overcoming obstacles by finding helpful people is another strategy. So
Right.
sometimes, and not everybody's works well like this, but to have an actual study buddy, I used to find that for some of the subjects that I was doing, it was helpful to
Right.
have, one or two people, and we'd all have assignments. So your responsibility is to do this, and everybody brought something to the group, right? So you had
Yeah.
the peer influence, and it was something we look forward to because you're
Right.
hanging
You have
out.
the influence plan. The interaction feels good to be interacting with someone. Um, Many times more so than just reading and from a book by yourself.
Mhm,
And you're getting someone else's ideas, maybe paying attention
mhm.
a little bit better than maybe reading and then going, what did I read, a page ago?
Exactly. Yeah.
So coming up with some strategies to finding helpful people, and also finding helpful people that might help you stay accountable. Can you remind me if I'm not doing my work? Can you tell me, hey, it's time to go? And you're gonna so in the moment that you really don't feel like doing your work, it's really like anything else where we're in a mindset that's away from what's helpful. Sometimes we just need to use other people's brains
Yes,
in
we
that
do.
moment.
Yes, we do.
We write things down when we're in a good place to be able to know what to do and think.
Mhm.
It's helpful to have a card that says, think this thought right now because right now you're not. Same thing with someone else's idea or brain that you've asked them to do already. You've asked them to do it. So it's coming from your mind at the time where you said, oh, I need to do this. But in this moment where you don't want to, sometimes we need somebody else to say, remember when you said you were going to do this?
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. I need to get on that. Thanks for reminding me.
So I had this kid when I was a college student. I was complaining about something. He said, "Well, you really need to go talk to the professor about that." And I said, "Well, okay, well, I might do that." And this kid said, "Well, no, you're just putting it off. You really need to get up now and go make an appointment so you can talk to this professor." I said, "No, I'll do it." And another kid joined in and he said, "No, he's right. You're just putting it off. You just need to get up now and go do it." And so I felt the peer pressure. I went and did that and it had a good outcome. It had a really good outcome. Sometimes you need somebody that cares about you to say, no, you just really need to go do
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
That was a great lesson.
Yeah. And not only, but to be able to encourage you to, or keep you accountable, but to reinforce when you do it well.
Mhm.
Good job. That's great. I'm really glad for you. How'd that go? Just
Yes.
to be able to talk to someone about that went well when I did that. I really didn't feel like doing it. I did it and it worked. It's nice to be able to get support and encouragement and reinforcement for what you do well, and in addition to maybe some suggestions of moving out of your comfort zone.
Yes. So what are the takeaways from this?
Well, let's do one more since
Okay.
we're kind of going down that road of obstacles. We talked about goal setting. We talked about overcoming blocks, helpful people. The last thing to kind of think about is anticipating the rewards,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
right? So what's going to happen that's good if I do this?
Mhm.
I'm going to have more time. I'm going to be done with it. I'm gonna have time to look at it later and make corrections if I need to. I'll have a sense of accomplishment. I'll be better at resisting distractions. I'll feel better about myself. I can go talk to my parents about it and say, hey, I got this done. I can kind of celebrate with people that are helping me. So thinking about what the positives of doing this thing that's initially associated with negative, I don't feel like, no, it's going to take forever. You're now associating what's going to be good. And so now you're a little bit more motivated to do it because you see that there's something in it for you. I mean, that's ultimately what motivation is about, is I see that if I do this, it helps me. So getting ahead of it in that way is an important step too. So we talked about breaking it down into small goals, overcoming blocks with thoughts that are helpful, finding helpful people, and anticipating the reward of doing it. If you kind of take those steps and recognize procrastination as what it is, avoiding something difficult, and make it a little bit easier with those steps, then it might be something that you can, people can overcome.
Well, and I think just what part of what you're saying is the active thinking of those thoughts that are useful. Because we can say these things to people, or other people have said them to us even, and we can say, well, yeah, I know that. I know this. I know I could get it done. I know I'd feel better. We can say, I know all that stuff. That's not the point. It's not enough to know it. You actually have to actively take the thoughts, put them in your head, and then utilize them in order to change the pathway so that you're more likely to have success with it.
Right. And especially after you've had success with it, think about that worked. Yeah. And that's when change becomes the action stage. When you might do something because your mom says to do it, or your friend says to do it, or your counselor says, or your teacher, we may go, okay, I'll do that because I trust you and I'm going to listen to you. But you're going to keep doing it if it worked. That's when it becomes your thing. So that's the whole idea, is practicing things and doing things, making changes, and experimenting with it, and then seeing if that actually helped.
Yes.
And then if it does, really be mindful and think about that. That helped me. I'm going to make this a part of what I do from now on, instead of putting things off.
So we call that a relapse prevention plan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep doing this. Yes. And that becomes more automated than procrastination.
That's right. Yep. We're trying to automate it. We're trying to condition ourselves to recognize the triggers, tolerate the feeling, that momentary feeling, and get into the rational side of our brain so that we can do what we need to do, so that ultimately we feel better.
Yes.
When you're talking about avoiding something that doesn't feel good, we're twisting that into making that feeling a little easier and feeling better by doing it.
Yes. I'm going to stop putting this off. I'm going to start doing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna put off my procrastination. I'm gonna wait till later to procrastinate.
Excellent.
All right, very good. Well, hopefully that's some helpful things to think about.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
You too.